Hi, I'm Jeannine Erickson. I use she, her pronouns. I'm the writer's room manager, and I am, the writing manager of this project. I help behind the scenes, help support students with the writing process, all that good stuff. So, speaking of writing, 826 MSP is a youth writing center based in the South Minneapolis neighborhood, and I personally manage the writer's room that's based at South High School, so South Side. Well, apart from being a youth writing center, we have various programs in both publishing, tutoring, writing itself, hence the project. Yeah, it's kind of like what we do. It's very much in the nature of what a youth writing center should do, I would argue, which is help young authors publish their work and get out there. This is my second one I've been involved with. Yes, the last one being Words Unburden Me. So yeah, this is my second time doing this, but this is the first time I've been kind of like more in the driver's seat, if you will. It feels refreshing, like especially given the nature of the project and the fact that it is an explicitly, as the kids always say, blackity black 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 project. It feels like nice and almost affirming to be in the project, especially as an older person, because it's almost like, younger me would be kind of like, that's dope to older me. So yeah, it's really fun and rewarding in that sense. Just how important it is to have projects like these. Like we have one of our students, Howie, for example, actually was in the previous project I worked on as well. So she was in the Words Unburden Me project and is in the current project, Project Exodus. And I remember at the end of it, despite being published once already, she just told me and my partner, Chrisetta, oh, I'm not a writer, miss. I just do this. And I was like, but you're literally published at 15 years old. So if you're not a writer, then what are you? And it was funny because it wasn't until our book release party for that project, so Words Unburden Me, that she started to realize like, oh wait, I am a writer. Wow. I'm like, yeah, I've been trying to tell you that you're a writer, literally by definition, but also by practice. So yeah, I think that's like one of the things from both the previous project and this project is that we have some amazing writers and leaders in this group, and they just really have such care for each other, and that's really heartwarming to see, and I'm just really excited to work with them and to learn from them as well. Honestly, I think it's practicing a lot of grace with one another. It's humanizing each other. One of the potential titles for the book is actually Rehumanize Me, so like full circle. Ignore me while I choke on my air. But yeah, I think the biggest challenge is having that balance of meeting people where they're at and also wanting to challenge students because you know what they can do, but not in a toxic, like white supremacist way of like, we have deadlines and you need to do them. It's like, I don't really vibe with that. But yeah, just that balance of like compassion, humanity, community building, and intentional community building, and also practicing grace. Community to me is kind of like chosen family in the sense of it's people you not only choose to associate yourself with, but you invest in a lot of ways and hopefully celebrate if you're intentionally doing community building. I think there's a lot of like superficial community building that happens, especially in nonprofit. But I like to think, at least I know, I can only speak for myself. I know in the programming that I do, I hold myself and our students to a standard of very intentional community building and what we call loving accountability and like a third space model. So it's like if home is your first place and school or work is the second place, third space is then basically redefine whatever those aren't. It occupies a space that does not exist in those two spheres. But I think, again, by definition, for example, a coffee shop could be a third space, but Starbucks, for example, is not an intentional third space because they're just another corporation that has a dime to pay at the end of the day. But I like to think that we are an intentional third space because of the programming that we do and also the youth that we work with and center and amplify in our work. I think for me, just especially from a programming and facilitator standpoint and view, this book is important because there was a lot of people, and let me preface, this book is not about George Floyd, but it definitely is informed by George Floyd because of the timeline of when we released this book and also the fact it was a pandemic year and all the things it meant to be Black during the pandemic. But anyway, backtracking, it's just the idea that there's a difference between responsive programming and reactionary programming. And I think too many people lean into reactionary programming. And at least for H26, we try our best to be responsive. And the way we can be responsive is by asking you directly, what do you need and how can I support you? And those two questions seem apparently radical in the education system, unfortunately, but really they should be normalized. But backtracking to why people should buy this book is like, if you truly care about uplifting, especially Black youth, not for just the hashtag or BLM or because it's trending right now, but because you genuinely care about the well-being of Black people, then you should buy this book. Because it's about being Black unapologetically and about Black joy, Black healing, liberation, and self-determination, meaning that we are the authors of our story, and whether or not that fits in your like little tiny box of what Blackness should or shouldn't be, fuck that, because that's not my business, and that's your problem, so. This book could mean, and it sounds cheesy, but honestly, hope. Like, I think especially for me, one of the things that redeems working in education, especially education being so steeped in racism and sexism and all the other isms, if you will, but that could take a whole day to list them all, is very much the youth and their hope and their energy around demanding better. And I think as adults, we owe it to them to not only advocate on behalf of, but like fight with. And I think adults often try to co-opt youth's agency. And I don't want to do that. And this book is a way for you not to do that. This book is a way for you to be like, I see you and I recognize you and I want to support you. So for the larger community, that's what it means, is putting your money where the mouth is. Your mouth where the money, I don't know. English is hard. It's a trap. Anyway, you know what I'm saying. You know what I'm saying. Anyways, actions speak louder than words. This is a way your actions can speak louder. Yeah, so this is actually the first time for one of these projects we've done a Kickstarter video. And I will say, the reason this project is even bigger than the 7 board members that we're working with is that this is a project that was realized by Wise Inc. Executive Director, Dara Beavis. And she really just wanted a chance to not only invest in and uplift Black authors and artists, but to put money back directly into those people's pockets. And I think it's just like, that doesn't happen often in nonprofit. Like, I don't think people understand. It's like very, very rarely do people give money directly to the benefactors of the project. It usually goes through many channels. So for us to be building a project that deliberately says like these 15, 16, 17, 18-year-olds are the ones that are getting paid like $500+ and they're getting the proceeds from the books and they're being published, that's unlike nothing we've done in previous projects. And that's really exciting because quite frankly, there are other nonprofits that are like, why should I pay youth? And that's part of the problem. Because you don't see them as your equal when they are, and you should. Yeah, support Black people not just in our suffering, but in our joy and happiness too. Because we're more than just a trauma story for you to indulge in when it's convenient for you. Thank you. Mic drop.